Welcome, fellow panel chewers and fellow page viewers. Welcome back to Panel Chewing Pick of the Week, the weekly comic book episode where we discuss the books that we pulled this week. We have what we save our favorite for the end of the episode, and then after that, we will be talking our group read, which is the Frank Miller run on Daredevil. We are reading 167, 168 this week, and we invite you to read along with us. It is free on Libby or Hoopla, and all you need is a library card to join those services. There's lots of free stuff, so I highly recommend checking that out. Not only books, but movies, music, books, what else? All kinds of stuff. But anyway, we're going to have an interesting pick of the week talk, but we'll get there. But all that said, Jarrod, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Hanging in here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, sounds like we both had long weeks. It's nice to get an escape some time in some pages of books and other things to take our attention away from things sometimes.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because I think comics are an easier way to do a quick escape from life. Whereas a book, you have to get into it. You got to read. You got to sit down. You got to read a lot of words. Where as a comic, you can just pick it up. You have 24 pages of something nice to look at, and hopefully something stimulating to read that gets you away from your earthly problems.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a visual part of it that is engaging, because when you do sit down with a novel, and it just sometimes it just feels like when you're in the wrong headspace, it just feels like a wall of text. But when you have images and artwork and things to look at, it's and like you said, you can jump in for a few minutes and set it down and come back to it. It's a different experience.
Yeah, there's something about that visual medium that can attract your eye, and therefore, when your eye gets that attraction, it's not black and white symbols on a page.
Mm-hmm.
So your eye gets that attraction, and it at least can give you something to focus on other than your problems or what have you.
Yeah, definitely needed, especially the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I didn't think of this before we started recording. But have you been to a Barnes and Noble or whatever major bookstore chain you have near you? Have you been there lately?
Yeah, I went. I don't know, but I go like maybe once every couple months just to check it out.
Yeah, I mentioned this on my weekly update, but I went a couple of the reasons I'm bringing this up. First reason is I went there this last week looking for some books that I couldn't find at the used bookstore, and the first thing I noticed is that the manga section is growing. It's huge. I mean, this huge display of manga everywhere, and there's people, old, young. I mean, you name. There's everyone is. I mean, it's a crowded section. Have you noticed the same thing?
Yeah, definitely the size of especially at the chain, the big chain, Barnes and Noble. I noticed the size of the manga section is has grown incrementally over the past 5 to 10 years. And I mean the regular graphic novel section has grown bigger too
Mm-hmm.
in
Yes.
those stores as well. But that was a more gradual thing, and the manga section has definitely expanded quite a bit.
Yeah, this like the shelves there are like 6 feet high, just wall to wall manga, and there is a pretty decent. I noticed they moved the comic books, the American or the non manga stuff. There's a bigger section, but yeah, I thought that was it's a huge thing now. The second reason I'm bringing this up, it's kind of related to comic books, but I went to the local bookstore.
I'm broke as shit.
To to look for some books, because we're always reading books together, and there were some books that I wanted to pick up. There's certain books I couldn't find at the used bookstore, so I went to Barnes and Noble and I was browsing the shelves there. And this goes for comic books too, but it's so tough because there's a book I wanted, and it was like $30. So I'm like, well, that seems kind of steep. So I pull up Amazon on my phone, and I could have it delivered in 2 days to my door for $14.
Mm.
And it's just do do you do that too when you're at a bookstore? Do you open Amazon and see what the because when I can get it for half the price, it's like, and I want to support local bookstores, and this is why I go to the comic book store as often as I can. But sometimes it's like, give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I visit my local used bookstore whenever I can. Because like you said, they're local, they're independent, they're by themselves, and of course, the used bookstores are what they are. They're not going to have anything, whatever you want. Mostly, I go there just to browse to see what's there and see what's coming in. If anything was new got dropped off,
Hmm.
or to get copies of old books I might have read already that I just wanted to have. But in now in Barnes and Noble, I rarely go there to unless I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I just get that itch to visit a brick and mortar store,
Yeah.
and it's mostly for browsing. And yeah, I probably should, for the sake of my wallet, check out a cheaper option. But I have a bad habit um, of what do they call that in the grocery store when you buy it because it's there on display.
Oh yeah, just
There's a,
the
there's a term
impulse
for that.
or
Impulse, yeah.
yeah,
So I I end up impulse buying stuff, um, which is a bad habit.
yeah,
And doesn't help my wallet. But yeah, so um, and I do go to Amazon when I know there's a specific thing I want, because it's going to be there, and you don't have to do the shopping around. The shopping around is more of a kind of a side thing, like a thing to do rather than your goal.
yeah, yeah. I did find Northlanders Volume One at the used bookstore for like $6, so it was a win.
Oh,
I wanted the physical copy, the trade, so that was a
yeah.
good find. But yeah, so this is the second week in a row that Jordan and I have the same pick, and this book hit home for me. Was a quote that really I haven't been able to get it in my head. So we'll get to that little tease
Nice,
for later. But
nice.
those of you who listen to the show regularly probably can guess what that book is going to be. But we'll go ahead and get into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's only happened 5 other times.
yeah, it's only happened 5 other times. Not a big deal. And I think the only time it hasn't been both of our picks is when one of us read it, be earlier than the other one.
Off week, yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. But
Yeah.
the planets have aligned once again. So yeah, so I guess we'll get into our pick or polls this week. The first one for me is Absolute Superman number 13. This is the battle for Smallville. I like what they're doing with this version of Superman, the AI cape, and the different ways that it's used. I really like. I think it's pretty creative, and it gives a different dimension to Superman. He's, let's be honest, Superman can get kind of boring sometimes. So I like these new elements. It's almost like he, kind of like Batman's tool belt. It kind of gives him some different dimensions and different things he can do. And this issue felt like a third person account of this battle. It's a big battle, but I think what really shined through in this issue were Superman, what he stands for, his values, his integrity, and his inexperience with these situations. So a good issue. The artwork from Rafa Sandoval. I mean, it's excellent. So that alone is worth the cover price for me. But I really like what they're doing with Absolute Superman, and yeah, I'm continuing to enjoy it. It's not blowing me away, but it's still a solid book.
Yeah, we got to appreciate these solid books when we get them, especially when it's been going on over a year now.
Yeah,
And
jeez,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that next week. It's in
yeah.
my pile. Um, so my first one this week is The Sixth Gun, Battle for the Six, number 3, from Oni Press by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt. And this is once again a kind of a Western fantasy type thing. The six gun, as you can guess from the title, is kind of a magic weapon, so to speak. And it's a very interesting story. I wish there wasn't as many characters as there are in this book.
Hmm.
They really expanded the cast huge, and it makes it hard to keep track of them all. And your lines kind of get blurred on who you want to root for and stuff like that, because all the characters are gray. They're not. There's no straightforward good guy, and which is cool if that's what you're looking for. But it when there's a whole bunch of them, it does make it hard to kind of focus in and really get your bearings on just a somewhere for your mind to settle into. And but I still like it. I like the artworks. The artwork's unique. Her, it has a unique style, and I like the setting. And so I'm definitely gonna be riding this one out and hoping for a great ending here. There's a lot of action in it. There's a lot of cool circumstance, a lot of cool situations that come up. Um, I wish it was a little more memorable. I wish something stuck in my head from the characters to make it more memorable. I'm picking it up now in my hands, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, and that's reminding me of stuff. But it's not like, but I'm gonna forget it again as soon as I put it down because there's just so much going on that you kind of lose focus. But it's a cool book. I don't want to not read it because I want to find out what happens at the end. But
Hmm.
it would be simple to get lost. Maybe it would be better in a single trade to read the whole thing at once. But
Hmm. Would you recommend the series as a whole, or would you was it what would
yeah,
be this be a book you'd recommend or pass?
yeah. I mean, the original series was great. Had a lot of fun with it, and if you're a fan of westerns and fantasy blend, then it's definitely going to be for you. But I would recommend reading the trade. I think at all at once.
On my list of things to check out because I know you've been reading it, so it's been on my radar. So the next one for me is Skin Police 2, issue 3. This book, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's about a a world where the birth rate drops and this technology is invented to duplicate people, to create people. And these people are duplicates and they're born and they kind of get lost in society. And a lot of them are, all of them at some point have this blow up where they pop, which their head explodes or they go crazy and they start killing people. And sometimes they get sick and they suffer and they die a horrible death. So there's a skin police formed where they go on and they find these people and they exterminate them basically. Now this book, it started to kind of lose me because in the second volume, it shifted to focus on one particular character, and it felt more like an action book. Well, there's a reason it did that, but I'm glad I stuck with it because it's really focused now on corruption, on government corruption and manipulation, and I really like the way it's going. I really like this issue. I really like the twists and turns, and you know, a lot of books, especially now recently in recent memory, they try to make a statement or they try to mirror current events with their book and they try to make a statement. This is one of those books where you can make a statement about corruption at any point in time. So it's pretty general and you can connect it. The thing I connected it with is the war on drugs, but you can connect it throughout history. You can apply this to anything. I really like the shift it took, and I really like the way it's going. And yeah, I'm glad I stuck with it. I like the art by Daniel Getty, and yeah, I was on the edge, but I'm back on. I had one foot out the door, but I'm back on board now. Really good issue.
Cool. Um, Next up, I have Imperial #4 from Marvel Comics, um, by Jonathan Hickman and Federico Vincentini. And this was the big space opera, the big event that Marvel was doing in space with all their space characters. And I was hoping for enjoyment with this series, and ultimately it fell flat. I
Hmm.
gotta say, um, and the thing is, I like Hickman's writing. I like his ideas, and but the problem with this ending, the problem with this series, is it just has a whole bunch of characters. You got Black Bolt, you got Wakanda, the Black Panther, and you got the Shire and the Skrull and the Kree and all these different factions, the Nova, um, and throughout the whole book, they all just kind of sit around and go, "Ha ha! Look how smart I was," and
I know
it's
people
like,
like that.
and it's just, yeah. But when the whole cast of characters is doing it and they all think they won somehow, it ends up just meaning nothing. And I don't know. At the end of this book, somebody declared themselves king, and somebody else was sitting on a throne, and it didn't make sense who it was, and it was all kind of jumbled, and it didn't seem like anything changed,
Hmm.
and everything's the same, and the Marvel universe goes on as it always does, and so unfortunately, I really, really kind of wish I didn't get sucked in yet again. you know, I mean, the art was cool, but there you go. That says it all right there. Um, yeah, try again, Marvel. I guess
Marvel's in kind of a slump right now. So I guess the big question is are you going to pick up the next issue or are you done?
I think this was done. This was the end of
Oh,
the main miniseries, the event.
oh,
There's a
okay.
whole bunch of offshoots, and then it says, what's going to happen next in the Marvel universe, and they have, um, a bunch of spin-offs and tie-ins and what have you coming up. But no thanks, I'm not going to go there.
Hmm. I wonder if did you get the impression that this is going to set off a new kind of with the Ultimate Universe ending? Did you get the impression that this is setting up something new that is like a new
Well,
Ultimate
I don't know
Universe
about
type of thing?
the. Well, this wasn't the Ultimate Universe.
No, I just wonder if they're planning like a new event or something
Oh,
to, some kind of new
well, that's. I
thing.
thought it might be going there when it first started, but then it ended up not going there at all.
Hmm.
And it looks like they have like four new, you know, Marvel's cosmic books coming out of this.
Hmm.
You know, but why I would be interested in these, I have no idea because it doesn't really seem to matter. It doesn't really seem like it's going to be something new. It seems like it's going to be par for the course. You know, feature She-Hulk there, feature Black Panther there,
Yeah.
feature Nova there, and that's it.
It's really, yeah, I think it's hard when you have so many decades and decades of continuity and you can't touch certain characters and do certain things and you're limited in what you can do. So, but
Yeah.
such is the big two, I guess. It's not a bad problem to have, I guess, but
I think, yeah, but I think that's that's what makes people like us jaded is
yeah,
when they let the limitations define the company.
yeah,
And so
yeah. Yeah, if you're listening and feel the same way, let us know. Be curious to hear if we're the only ones or is everyone else a little just kind of tired of all this stuff and goes nowhere, all these big events and stuff. But All right. So the next one for me is Vanishing Point number 6. This is by Mad Cave Studios. And Jared, I know you haven't read this yet, so I'll be very careful what I say. Anyone else who's listening who hasn't read it yet. This is an anthology series. It's a I think science fiction is a fair way to describe it. This in this issue, a robot shows up, and I said robot, not like Terminator. It's like a giant, like a big, bulky robot. It shows up out of the blue and starts killing people, and no one really understands why this robot is walking around killing people. And it turns out the way that the story unfolds, and you discover why, and it's a kind of they play with time and time loops, and it's really neat. Like by the time I got to the end of it, I was really I was kind of twisting my mind into pretzel, but it was a great idea. I think the execution was really good, and I won't get into any details other than that because there's lots of reveals that are just fun. So another great issue. I'm really impressed with Vanishing Point. It always leaves me with something to think about, and just like you mentioned, the Six Gun earlier, it kind of feels like you walk away and kind of forget about it. This is one of the series that really kind of keeps you thinking after. So, great job with Vanishing Point. Yeah, got a solid issue.
Looking forward to that next week. All
Mm.
right. Next up, I have Conan Scourge of the Serpent, number 2. This is a mini series, and from Titan Books. And this is the continuation of the crossover between Conan Cull, the king of Valusia, and a guy named John Kirwan, who's an occult investigator in the 1930s. And they're not crossing over in the sense that they're meeting each other. This is it's kind of an echo of the same thing happening to each of them in their own time periods, and it has to deal with the serpent, the serpent god Set, in the Conan from the Conan universe originally, or actually from Cull's universe originally, I think.
Mm.
But the if anybody who doesn't know, Howard's universe is actually it is Earth. It's not like he's making up a different planet. He's saying all this stuff happens on Earth a long time ago. So and as I've said in the past that I'm not a big fan of these crossover type things, but of course I'm a Conan fan, so I get sucked in. And sometimes it's okay to be sucked in when you're enjoying yourself because the artwork is really good. It's fantastic. Um, by what's his name, Mr. Gill, and the story is actually pretty cool. It has a lot of cool stuff going on. It jumps between the time periods, so you got to kind of keep up with it. But I definitely can't fault for them trying to do what they're doing. And in spite of my reservations of crossover stuff in the Howard verse, it's actually a pretty enjoyable comic. So, yeah, not bad. I like it.
I wonder. I'm sure there's people out there who are fans of certain Marvel characters who and that's why they keep buying the books. I guess I just thought there was probably a parallel there with people who love Fantastic Four or whatever. But yeah, I was a little bit nervous about that one because of the crossover, but it's good that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I am. It is fun. It is fun. Gotta admit.
Titan's doing a great job with the Conan books.
Yeah, maybe we can reach out to them.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll throw us a bone. Speaking of Conan and Titan books, the next one for me is Savage Sword of Conan, number 11. I blame Jarrod for this. So this one it's a story about Conan. He's searching for a lost boy, but he finds way more than what he was expecting. And he runs into it deals with other dimensions and long-standing pacts and conflicts, and it's it's another one of those mind bending stories. And what really stood out to me here is the artwork. It's black and white, and it is gorgeous. It is so. I mean, I just found myself staring at these pages. It is
Nice.
so detailed. It is, there's some spreads that are just. I mean, I wish I could just have them on my wall somewhere. They're just beautiful artwork. I mean,
Who
so
is it?
detailed, so detailed. Oh,
Who?
I didn't write the artist down. I'll have to bar that to the notes. I forget the name. I
Okay.
It was a name I didn't remember, but you may know the name. But there's some. I mean, the artwork is insane. So I just loved it, and the story was good too. But the artwork is just, I don't know. I just love it. It's fantastic. So this would have been my pick if not for the book we picked. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Savage Sword of Conan. I've been trying to get back issues, and I think I need 1, 2, and 3, and I'll have 1 through 11. So I'm
Oh,
on the
nice.
hunt.
Awesome.
I was at the comic book shop. I was digging through the stacks and trying to find the ones that I needed, and doing that whole thing like a, like a weirdo. So yeah, that was me at the comic book store. And Jared, I blame you. It is your fault.
My evil plan worked.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
uh, that's funny. Cool. Uh, I'm looking forward to that one. Next week, it's on my pile.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
And so this next book I have is Endeavor #2 from our friends at Distillery Comics, written by Stephanie Phillips and with art by Mark Lanning and Tony Shasteen. Um, and this continues on this story. This is #2, so it continues on the story about this ship called the Endeavor, um, where this well, this tragic event happens at the end of #1, and so of course we're getting the ramifications of it here in #2. And the so this story continues on. It kind of goes into um, a little bit of Lord of the Flies territory, if anyone's familiar with that, that that trope, that motif. Uh, then you might like that. Of course, they're trapped on a boat, so it makes it very contained and gives it a little horror type feel. What I liked about the issue was there's actually a lot of historical flashbacks, and so it refers to older journeys of this old boat called the Endeavor. That was one of the one of those old wooden boats with the sails and stuff like that. I forget what they're
Mhm.
called,
Like a
but
sailboat.
yeah,
Is
but
it
a
a
big one,
sailboat? Yes.
like a galleon or something. One of
Yeah.
those, something like that. Um, but so there was a lot of historical flashbacks in this particular issue, and I like the artwork really reflected that nicely. The artwork's very well done in this book. I really like I really like all the looks on the ship and the boat, and just you get a good feel for being on an old ship like that, the Christopher Columbus type of ship or what have you. And so that was pretty cool stuff. And there's actually a lot of uh, biblical versus science references in this issues, and I liked how they used them,
Hmm.
and I like how that came out in the characters and their differences, and how they were trying to deal with the situation that they're in. Um, and so that was actually a pretty cool touch. I thought was nice. So overall, it's a pretty cool, nice issue. I like it. I'll be looking forward to the next one.
Well, it's encouraging. I was a little bit discouraged by the end of issue 1, but yeah, I like the.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going in a good direction.
Yeah, you still got the kids focus, so that's if you're not a fan of that Lord of the Flies kid focus type thing, you might not like it, but it worked pretty well, I thought, really, for this story.
Hmm. And again, shout out to Distillery for having us on their review
Yeah,
list. Really appreciate it. All right, next one for me. One more before we get into our pick of the week. This one for me is Heavy Metal number 3. I found this. It was the last copy at the bookstore. Picked it up. It was a $15 book,
Yeah.
but you get a lot for $15. I don't know how many pages are in this thing, but it is a thick boy. And so what I did was I avoided the stories that were in part 3 because I intend to go back and get the first 2 issues. So I read the stories that were either, you know, starting out or original one-offs. And between all the articles and interviews and stories, there's a lot of stuff in this thing. It's packed. It's for $15. You get a lot for your money. I haven't read a heavy metal book, and I can't remember how long it's been. I'm almost don't want to look because ruin your day and everything. But um, yeah, so the stories, a lot of them are hit or miss. I think that's kind of common. That's fair to say. There's a lot of them. Some of them are one page. Some of them are a few pages. Some of them are several pages. And what I do appreciate about this book is that they really go for it. There's some stories in here that were just off the wall. They were really disturbing, violent, uh, gory. But in an age where people are afraid to really push boundaries, they just do it. And I mean, even though some of them didn't work for me, I still appreciate that they just kind of go for it. And there's lots of stories here, and something here will probably work for you. So yeah, so they were, I'd say I probably enjoyed half the ones I read, but it was a good few hours, hour or two of reading. And yeah, I'll plan to get the first 2 issues, and then it's now on my pull list. So looking forward to the next one. But yeah, enjoyable all around.
Yeah. 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 I like my time with the first two. I'm not sure if I can keep going with it. It's a pretty hefty, full book.
It is, and my bookstore managed to fit it in like a bag, and a bag didn't board it in it. It's like, how do you fit this thing? They must have really took some time to squeeze it in there. But it is thick, and for $15, I think it's a pretty good deal. I mean, for as much
Yeah.
as you can.
It's
So
yeah. It's about 200 pages, I believe. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite a bit. They had like a Stephen Graham Jones interview. They had some other articles and interviews and spotlights, and yeah, it's like an all round. It's kind of neat. I kind of miss books like this because it seems like we don't get too many of them anymore. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
So, with all that said, it is time for this week's pick of the week. So, we have, I don't know if we're going to coin that. I don't think we've coined this acronym, but we're going to call it ACE, which is Assorted Crisis Events. Number 6. And this damn book, I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah. This damn book.
This damn book.
How do they keep doing it? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. You'd think you get um, I don't know, tired of the conceit, I guess,
Mm.
and say, "Oh, here we go again." Another another story into somebody else's life that this this time crisis is messing up. And but then you start reading it, and you're like sucked in, and you instantly identify with this character and what she's going through, and it's heart wrenching, and you wonder how these uh, these creators of this book can continue to do this, because these books just they literally break your heart when you're reading them. And I don't know how else to put it. It touches you in so many levels. Um, this book reminded me of so many things in my own life that
Hmm.
just kill you. When that and not just that, but also touch you in ways that are so relevant. And it's just amazing how they keep doing this.
Yeah, I think it works on so many levels because there's the premise. So this time crisis that's happening, we're on a kind of a, instead of it being a superhero story around this event, this crisis event, where it's just regular people. So you have this premise, then you have the story idea, which is that there's a couple, and the husband is afflicted with this new condition where he ages and de-ages at any moment. So he can be a 40-year-old man, and then he's a toddler who's soiling his pants, or he's an old man who's soiling his pants and running around and doesn't know who. So he just bounces around, and his wife is trying to figure out what to do about it, or how to deal with it. And so there's the execution of telling the story, there's the layouts, there's the artwork there. I mean, just the whole package, it just works. There's a quote from this book that I cannot get out of my head, which is, the worst day together is better than the best day apart. And that has stuck with me. That hit home, especially when you've been estranged from someone for a few weeks, or for whatever period. So you start to appreciate the moments you have together, and you being away from each other is like torture, and not being in contact with someone. And even on the worst day, you still know that they're there. And just the journey that the wife takes, and it just completely just. I mean, I read Savage Sword of Conan, and I thought, I don't know, the Sword of Crisis events better be on their game, and it totally was. So yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
it just breaks your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And this issue featured this interesting puzzle motif,
Yeah,
as you went um, through the book. It had these different, like the beginning has all these um, panel layouts that look like a pamphlet, which is,
yeah,
of course, she's considering, what she's considering the kind of help she can get in a home or what have you for her husband. And so it has those kind of layouts, and it has the puzzle layouts later on as they're trying to literally puzzle their lives together. And it just and that the cover reminded me of so much of because the puzzle piece is like a symbol for autism too.
mm,
And so I gotta imagine that the writer had that in mind, because the situation that the wife is dealing with is very similar to how people have to deal with autistic children sometimes. And it had that feel. I know that from firsthand experience. And so it's just I can see that right off the bat, and I can see that it wouldn't surprise me at all if this writer has some kind of experience with that,
mm,
because it was that realistic towards the reader, and that powerful. And that very quote that you brought up earlier is exactly it when it comes to dealing with kids with special needs. That
mm.
is it right there.
I mean, just the, like I said, the whole package, the artwork, the way like you said, the puzzle motif, the emotional journey you take. I hear people talk about comic books, and just the term comic books. It sounds like it's like, supposed to be funny or goofy or whatever, but there's this medium, you can tell so many impactful and powerful stories. And I mean, this book it set the bar with the first issue,
Yeah.
and it has maintained and even gone above that. And I don't know how they're doing it, but it is one of the
Yeah.
best things on the shelves. One of the best things I've read in a while. I mean, there's lots of great books, don't get me wrong, but this is just a different. It hits different emotionally. This one
Yeah.
does.
No, this is definitely creeping up my top 10 list quickly,
Yeah,
uh, very quickly. And yeah, and we even have a little visit from our friend in this
yeah.
issue. And I'm like, I keep wondering, when are we going to get his story? Because he's been in every issue. And so we'll see how that turns out in the future, I guess. But
Yeah, just a really. I mean, this book has really stuck with me for the last few days, and it is. I mean, I'm really glad you read it. I know it's in your stack for next week, but I'm glad you picked it up because I knew. I
Couldn't
already
help
knew that.
myself.
Yeah,
Could
I
not help
knew that
it.
if you read it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're not reading a sort of crisis events, definitely recommend picking it up. If you haven't gone into the series, I would recommend maybe picking up issue one because it gives you some background on the event. But every book after that is, kind of contains stories,
Yeah.
and there is a connection, but it's you don't need it to get into the book.
Yeah.
It's as long as you know the premise, you'll be
Yeah.
okay.
These stories work on many different levels. So they definitely can stand alone by themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it is nice to have a big picture. But anything you can get your hands on with this series, read it.
yeah,
Just read it.
yes, definitely go read it. But be prepared. Be prepared. Really, really great. I mean, I can't gush enough about it. Awesome stuff. And every time a new issue comes out, I just hope that it's the same quality because you don't want it to kind of taper off, but man, they
Yeah.
have maintained, and it almost keeps getting better. So wild.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that said, that is our pick of the week, and we will now get into our group read, I guess you can call it. It is the Frank Miller run on Daredevil. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, you can get this for free on Libby or Hoopla, and all you need is a library card to sign up for those. Lots of free stuff, and Frank Miller's run on Daredevil is on that list. So we read 2 issues per week, and this week we are reading 167 and 168. And I guess we can start with 167 with Mahler.
Yeah. Yeah. 167 was your, I don't know, semi interesting standard Daredevil story. It's
Yeah.
kind of a villain of the week type thing, or a villain of the month or whatever. And it kind of like I was kind of getting bored with those. I'm getting bored with the villain of the month thing, and then at the end of it, we suddenly get this little pastiche of Daredevil's apartment, and you can kind of tell that that's what they based a show on,
Yeah.
that apartment. And you're like, oh, okay, what's going on with that? Why did they insert that here? And it was definitely, you got the feeling that it was something that Frank Millers was working on. He wanted to flesh that out for some reason. And so then that was fine. And then we got to 168, and even the cover, I was like, oh, this is something different. And then you look on the inside, and I noticed that Frank Miller takes over as the writer. He's the writer artist. Nobody else is writing it now. And even the artwork was like, oh, wait a minute, this looks a little different. He's putting a little more style into it. He's starting to move away from the standard Marvel style, and he's putting his own little signature into it, and you start to see that Miller-esque type style starting to form. And I thought the artwork was a big improvement.
Mm.
Not that it was bad before, but I just think this is different. This is Miller putting his signature on something, and then uh, we get these better story. I thought we get the origins of Elektra and him
Yeah.
meeting in college, and I was like, okay, this is the stuff I think that we were waiting for. This is the thing that I think is going to lead to where I think it's going to lead, because I've seen covers in the past, and you get that classic. I don't know if you remember seeing it, but that classic cover of Bullseye stabbing Elektra
Yeah.
way back when, and I have an odd feeling this series is probably where that leads.
Mm.
This is a read along. We're not like this.
Yeah.
it's full of spoilers. So
Yeah, a spoiler
uh,
for a 30-year-old book,
yeah, yeah.
or
So
longer than that.
so I just saw that this issue felt like this is where something special was gonna start happening.
Yeah, it did have an edge to it, and it starts to get more stylized.
Yeah,
And it had been I had been noticing a change, but this issue felt different. I didn't even notice that he was the writer until you mentioned it before we hit record. But I did laugh in 167 when he was changing into a suit and he takes the woman out of the dressing room and throws her out. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to look." That was yeah. But yeah, 168. And I did think the Mahler story, there was the end was a little bit, where Mahler, the reasons why Mahler
yeah,
was, yeah, I thought that was not bad. Like
yeah,
I don't mind the villain of the month thing, but I think we're starting to, like you mentioned, we're starting to lead into some more substance, like a longer building a world, building a mythos kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. You have the I mean, we had the death of Electra's father. That,
Yeah,
of course, is going to set off a chain of events that's going to lead to stuff in the future here, and uh, it's definitely a more enticing um, relationship
yeah,
between Elektra and Daredevil. Like the Black Widow thing was definitely not working for me. I'm glad that's over with. It just that didn't work at all. and and whoever Heather was, I don't know who that was, but I'm glad that's over with. and this is definitely a more enticing, you know, doomed tragic relationship that we're getting into here, and I think this is going to be more up our alley as far as what we're looking for as a classic run.
yeah, yeah. I did laugh because her real name is Electra. Uh, I thought that was kind of silly, but yeah, I think I'm starting to understand now why the Black Widow thing ended the way it did. Maybe abruptly. We mentioned that a few issues ago. It's just like, okay, I'm out of here. Bye. And it's like, oh, Black Widow leaves New York. So maybe he had to clear the table and kind of clear the path for this, but I'm not sure where his other love interest is going to lead. I'm sure there'll be some kind of new triangle there, but yeah, I'm starting to kind of see where he was kind of clearing room for his story and moving the pieces around to make kind of give himself some space to tell new stories. So yeah, it did feel different, and it did feel more. It seemed like there was more substance there.
Yeah, and like you said, more stylistic with the artwork. So
Yeah, so I'm glad because I don't mind the villain of the month, but it's not the most. I mean, it's not the most engrossing thing to read. But
yeah, I mean it feels throwaway when you have
yeah,
that. Like, okay, you throw it away. Whereas this issue 168, you're like, oh wait a minute, I better hang on to this because it could have relevance for the issues coming.
yeah,
And that's the feel I think that's the feel we had during the Doc Phoenix thing. That
yeah.
was like, yeah,
It's a good point. It does feel like a turning point, and I'm hoping it is because I want something with some meat on it and something that. But it does feel like things are moving in the right direction
yeah,
to be a legendary run or whatever.
yeah. No, this I'm looking forward to the next one. So it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So next week we'll be reading 169 and 170. We invite you to read along with us. Like I said, you can join. It is free to read on Libby and Hoopla. Be sure and check those services out. And if you aren't going to be reading with us, then I still recommend checking those services out. It's a great little. It's great to browse that and get lots of free stuff. So always a good thing. So we're now 110 this week.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So thanks everyone for listening. I want to thank everyone for the support. The show's been picking up some traction lately, so thank you for listening. Really appreciate. And Jarrod, where can people find you and all your other stuff?
You can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel. Um, And you can find me at Speculative Speculation Podcast as well as the Oscar Project on the Page 2 forums.
Yes. The next movie up is Gandhi.
Yep.
Yeah. 1983, I believe.
1982 winner.
Two.
Yep.
So, all right, cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Hope you had a great reading week, and hopefully, if you had a bad week like we did, hopefully you can put your nose in some books or some whatever else it is that you find your escape in, and forget about your problems for a little while. So until next time, we hope you find your pick of the week.
Bye-bye.